23 people, including a 12-year-old, have been killed in the Bawku clashes between January 31st and February 10th. That is according to the latest ONEP tracking report. The networking in the Bawku situation tracking report is warning the conflict is providing opportunities for extremists and terrorists infiltrating into Ghana, starting from Bawku. Now, this, according to the network, could result in intense cross-border violence by the extremists between Burkina Faso and Ghana's northern regions. Let's bring in National Coordinator of the West African Network for Peace Building, Albert Yelyang. Good afternoon, Mr. Yelyang. Welcome to Newsbeat. Now, 3 drivers transporting pepper and tomatoes from Bawku to Accra have reportedly been shot dead, with several others sustaining injuries. Is this also captured in your report? Kindly unmute so we can hear you. Hello, Mr. Yelyang.
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yes, can you? Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. We are a bit uncertain about that report. We are not doubting the veracity of it, the way it has been reported, and we are trying to have more details about the report so that we can capture that data specifically in the report.
Right. We know that there are some deaths that are unreported. Do you know the circumstances that led to all the deaths that are unreported?
Most of them have been like sniper attacks at the community levels. 1, 2, 3 incidences which have occurred, and these are incidences that have occurred around houses, that have occurred on the roads, some have occurred on the way to farms. So these are some of the circumstances that individuals have died, through various attacks. If you want to know, it's almost like everyone is on the guard, and people are venging their anger, and also revenging on several incidences that have occurred. So it's like some level of criminality is taking place within the Bawku enclave, which probably might not also link to the conflict between the 2 factions.
Right. You're saying that the conflict could spread to the other parts of the country. Explain to us why.
Bawku is very proximate to the happenings in the southernmost part of Burkina Faso. And what I do mean is that there are a number of extremist attacks, and if you have monitored the news, many of the people who feared for their lives cross into Ghana. And we know that there are times some incidences occur in the Bawku areas, and we have not had any reports from the security agencies whether those perpetrators have been tracked and whether they are Ghanaians or not. Where they are, have returned, we are unable to tell. So and many reports indicate that ethnic conflicts, whether it is over chieftaincy, over land, or just ethnicity itself, and other resources, may be one of the inroads to infiltration by violent extremism. A UNDP report cited such as one of the findings in their data, in their study. So Bawku as it is, there are a number of violent incidences that take place. In the melee of the confrontation between the 2 factions, anyone who is a criminal and knowing the situation would take advantage of that. We have heavy security presence, but if in the recent incidences we have security confrontations with the civilian populations, that then has created, might have created some mistrust between the security agencies and the civilian populations who are supposed to cooperate very well with the security agencies on the ground, so that if there is any untoward movement or person, in the Bawku area, that report could be given to relay to the security agencies to react appropriately.
Right. We've seen guns, machetes, and other weapons being used in Bawku. Do you have any idea who is really sponsoring them with these weapons?
We need to do a lot more thorough investigation about this. There have been instances where very young people who cannot fend for their lives, they can't have meals for themselves, and even their families, are struggling economically, using guns, So the question is, where are these guns coming from? Who is financing that? So it is very likely that there are people behind the scenes, various categories of individuals who might be involved in this. Don't forget that several people try to profit from some of these situations. There could be ethnic members, there could be people who are just into the business of guns, in the business of drugs, in the business of any other thing that profit them individually. So parochial interest might be one of the reasons, or the sources of the guns in the area.
Will they also be Burkina-based?
Guns are moved about from all over. In 2011, when we had guns not being useful in Cote d'Ivoire, there were guns that moved into Ghana in that enclave, in the western, northwestern areas. At the moment, there is movement, between Ghana and Burkina Faso, and even movement into Mali, into Niger, and other places. Ghana is a heavy transit area, and so it is expected that there could be guns moving in from all of these areas. That guns are very useful, for instance, in Burkina Faso. And there could also be local productions that are, moved around the country, and especially to areas like Bawku, where they can be found, they can be useful.
Right. What really could be done to ensure peace in the area?
I think that under the circumstances, we need to continue to appeal to the various factions to eschew violence, to remain calm, and to explore the various avenues that are still available towards addressing their grievances. The youth in particular should be very mindful that anyone who gets them to engage in violence is destroying their future. And so the elders need to have that kind of conversation with the youth, and the youth needs to be very aware that the elders have reached a certain age, and other things being equal, life may, they may not be on earth again, but they have, a life still to live, for a longer time. And the elders, of course, need to begin to think that there could be sowing a generational, enmity amongst the factions in Bawku. I think that we need to engage, have more cooperation between the security and the civilian population, so that intelligence can be increased, more data can be gathered, and so that the security can react more appropriately and proactively, so that we can prevent any infiltration or the recurrence of violence that may turn Bawku into a militarized zone. I think that we need to engage very well-meaningful individuals like the National Chief Imam, who can be very influential in terms of de-escalating the tensions and encouraging the parties to come back to a table that they can have conversations. The Daniri is a key person as far as the tension in Bawku is concerned. And I think that there is the need to have high-powered engagement with the Nairi to look at the position he holds as far as the conflict is concerned, so that it can play a significant role in de-escalating tensions and then bringing the factions back to the table.
Right, Albert Young, I want to thank you very much for your time this afternoon.